quickly so that we can be able to go off your questions. If the question has been asked, please don't ask it again. Just appreciate that we are constrained with time. So I'm going to start right there as number one. I'm going to come to number one, number two, number three. Oh, that's lovely. So you guys agree with us. Number four, right? Okay. Yeah, let's go.
My name is Elaine Tali from 263 Church. My question is with regards to the Poland. Did anything pop up on the issue of joining Poland?
My name is Tonio. We will be able to answer this question. Maybe to you, I need to understand. There is a general perception that the new MDC is a club of members who lost the last election and are trying to find themselves back into politics by coming together using a backdoor. How do you respond to that? And maybe when
it's not as men. Maybe let me give you the second one.
Okay, maybe the second question is, what's your take on the last Congress that was there? It looks like some of you were there and you actually did lose that last Congress, and now you are coming back to have a certain different party. Do you take that as a legit Congress before the constitutional announcement was done? Was that not a consultative process that was done within your voters and the people? And how do you check that?
Okay.
However,
Number three.
After in 2018 we were just election and your party has two MPs who are still behind. I wanted to find out that it therefore means now we have two parties in parliament, one MDC team with two MPs and the other MPs. How do you
Number four.
Yes, my name is President Kano from Artisan CBN Radio. Honorable Mwonzora, you said that the police were dealing with COVID-19 related issues. Are the police who are parked outside in that truck also dealing with COVID-19 issues? Because we have seen them since the takeover stationed, already there's a new police station that is outside. Just wanted clarity on that. My second and last question is that what is going to be your engagement level with ZANU-PF? Because we have seen that you have warmed up already to Poland, Madam President, warming up to ZANU-PF. Is this still the same status or same engagement, or you are going to be facing ZANU-PF and seeking accountability, where, for instance, there are serious allegations of corruption? We have not had this about that or against that. So I want to understand your relationship this far with ZANU-PF going forward.
Okay. Thank you. And then we'll come for the second round. Over to you, Madam President, the SG.
Thank you very much. Let me just say, let me just let me answer on the question. We did not discuss that issue today. We discussed other issues. That issue is going to come, and we will advise you once we have discussed about it. Are the police parked there enforcing COVID? Now, I want you to understand that they've been parked there before the takeover. So you cannot say that they parked because of the takeover. They have been parked in the streets for a long period before the takeover, and you must take judicial notice of that. But after the takeover, the peaceful takeover, and the violence that when they tried to initiate, we obtained a peace order. And this peace order was obtained in the magistrate court, and it precluded certain members from coming to Harvest House and causing a breach of peace. It also specifically advised the police to maintain law and order and to make sure that the order is enforced. But the police that you see are not parked at the Harvest House. The police you see are parked outside FBC. Just take judicial notice of that. And you have to take judicial notice again that the army has its offices 60 meters from here. And I did ask my colleagues to measure that because I was anticipating your question. And that is 35 to 40 meters away from this building. We cannot control that. That has nothing to do with us. As far as we can see, they have not disturbed anybody. The engagement levels with ZANU-PF. We are an opposition party. But you will find that we are an opposition party that is going to engage with ZANU-PF in the manner that Morgan Tsvangirai's leadership engaged with ZANU-PF. And the engagement with ZANU-PF was multifaceted, multi-pronged. So we are an opposition party. We are going to hold the government to account. We see that some of the members of the press ignored a very beautiful fight that was waged by our MPs in Parliament, and that dealt with the abduction of the girls. It was done, that debate was done by Honorable Tekeshe, Honorable Makonya, Honorable Vincent Tsvangirai, who had been the first MPs to heed our calls to come to Parliament. And I also debated on that. So yes, we are going to engage ZANU-PF in Parliament. We are going to engage ZANU-PF in the political life. But we are going to be advancing the interests of the Zimbabwean people, the real objective why we were formed. We know that there's been a lot of propaganda. You have my young brother Ruhanya, who has forgotten that he's a journalist in the first place. Getting into propaganda. This is how he describes us. But what we really are, we are a leadership that is democratic. We are a leadership that is pro-reform. We are a leadership that is pro-change. We are a leadership that is not unnecessarily talkative. We are, and his deputy was Honorable Morgan Komichi. They were the people who were in the organizing department, who planned ZANU-PF downfall. The deputy president to Tsvangirai was Madame Khupe. And when Morgan Tsvangirai was forced into exile, she remained the acting president in this country at that period in time. And various of these leaders were doing one work or another. So we have an experienced leadership, a mature leadership, and so on. My friend from the lovely TV, thank you very much for that question, which deals with people lost in Gweru. And I've heard people continuing saying that Mr. Mwonzora, you lost in Gweru. The same people don't say that Mr. Chamisa lost it to me in Harare in 2014. So when you trace the history of defeat in elections, don't be selective. I also beat him. I also won at one point in time. That's not an important point. But what is the important point? The important point is that before we went to Gweru, the matter of Mashawire was heard in the High Court before Justice Mushore in March. In the standing committee, I then urged my colleagues to stop the Congress in Gweru. I was overruled. And democracy is the dictatorship of the majority. But I gave my legal advice. It was not listened to. On the 8th, I think, of May, Justice Mushore delivered her judgment, which had far-reaching consequences on the leadership. I made two suggestions. The first suggestion was that we cancel the Congress altogether. The second suggestion was that we convert the Gweru Congress into an extraordinary Congress. And in that regard, we had to change the Electoral College. Again, we were in the minority. And yes, I did contest in Gweru, well knowing that this was a waste of time. And I did tell my colleagues that it was a waste of time. History has absolved me. We are not here because of a loss in an election, in a Congress that was nullified. We are here because the Supreme Court of Zimbabwe has ruled in favor of one of us. And that one of us is Elias Mashavira, who was our organizing secretary for Gokwe district. He was proven right by the courts. Because we are not an arrogant leadership, we are going to listen to people who have won in the court cases. We are not condescending towards him. So we are going to do the correct thing. We want constitutionalism. We want people to respect the rule of law. And this is what binds us. And this is what we want to do. And if you trace our history, each one of us here, you will find that it is a history which deals with constitutionalism, human rights, and the rule of law. And this is the passion that we are simply following.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Sorry, Madam President.
First of all, I would like to say that the MDC is an organization which has a constitution. This constitution was written by us. And it was adopted first in 2000 at our first Congress in Chutungisa. Then it was adopted again in 2006 at the National Sports Stadium. And then it was adopted again in 2011 in Baba Fields and in 2014 at the National Sports Stadium. This constitution tells us what to do and not what to do. And what the Supreme Court simply did was that it said go back and do what was supposed to be done after the demise of our late president, Dr. Morgan Richard Tsvangirai. Article 9.21.1 clearly states that after the death of the president, the deputy president assumes the position of acting president for a period not exceeding 12 months and then calls for an extraordinary Congress. Unfortunately, this was not done. So what the Supreme Court simply did was that it said, what happened in Bulawayo at the Stanley Square in April and what happened in Gweru in May, was it 2019, is null and void. So both groups must go back and do what the Constitution says they must do. And this is what the simple did. So I have been reinstated as the acting president of MDCT. MDCT has got 103 MPs in parliament, meaning that I am currently the leader of that political party, which has 103 MPs in that parliament. It has happened in other countries. I would like to give an example of South Africa. Musi Maimane was the leader of DA, and currently he is no longer the leader of DA. There is a new leader in that parliament who is now the leader of those MPs who are there right now. And currently I am the leader of MDCT with the 103 MPs. So the issue of 2 MPs or whatever MPs does not arise because we are doing exactly what the Supreme Court has asked us to do. And already we are preparing for the extraordinary Congress. We are busy right now and we want to make sure that it becomes a success where we are going to fill the position left by our leader, Dr. Morgan Richard Tsvangirai.
Okay. I note your follow-up. Who else has a follow-up? I note your follow-up. Please, it must be follow-ups, not new questions, so that we can go the second round. Is there a follow-up? No, not yet. Okay, let me just do follow-ups and then we'll check the new questions. Yes, I'll start with you.
were elected, referring to Honorable Christian who were elected on the party that was ruled now and void.
Okay.
What happened to them?
All right. Not a problem. Your follow-up?
Yes, Madam President, not that you follow the Constitution, but the court said that what you did in Stanley State was not following the Constitution. So you must be fired from the party for joining another political party, which is stated in your Constitution. Anyone who supports any political party other than this one should be fired. So you should not be sitting there as president.
Okay. All right. Madam President, SG.
The two MPs, like I said earlier on, the Supreme Court said we must all go back to the 14th of February after 2018. And it is clear those MPs are now part of the 103 MPs who are MPs who belong to the MDC team. I did not. You are saying I'm supposed to be fired because I joined another political party or formed another political party. Is MDC Tsvangirai. That is the party which contested. And we were very clear to say our colleagues have deviated from the founding values and principles of MDCT, that of non-violence, that of non-discrimination, that of not following the Constitution. And we remained, respecting the Constitution, we remained, along those founding values and principles of the MDCT. We are very clear from the onset. But however, the Supreme Court said, Stanley Square and Gweru, go back and do what was supposed to be done, where I was supposed to be given an opportunity to act as acting president, and then call for an extraordinary Congress. And this is what I'm working on. I am definitely going to call for an extraordinary Congress, which is going to elect a new leader. And this is who we are right now. I did not violate any constitution. I tried by whatever means possible to follow what was in the Constitution. However, the Supreme Court said we must go back and then do what the Constitution tells us to do.
SG, would you like?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. All right. I'm sure you said. No. Okay. No, it's fine. You may not be happy with the answer, but it is the answer. That the wait.
That they do.
No, it's fine. Wait. Hear me out. Hear me out.
That do not belong to the MDC. That was.
It's okay. Hear me out.
No.
Let me answer that. If I may answer that. The Supreme Court realized the two things. That after the demise of Dr. Tsvangirai, the party split into two factions. The one faction was the faction that held the Congress at Stanley Square. By the way, the Congress at Stanley Square was called an extraordinary Congress. It was not an inaugural Congress to form a party. And then it recognized another faction led by Advocate Chamisa that remained part of the MDC alliance. The attitude of the courts was that these were factions of one party. These were tributaries of one river. And therefore, the Supreme Court then said, return to the status quo ante as at the day after Tsvangirai died, but before the National Council. That meant that the two factions were now being brought into one party. So it is now one party. So these MPs are MPs which belong to one party now. And they belong to the group which had more members of parliament. They are now one. That is why this party is now being led by the one president who is presiding not over a faction, but over a united party with all its assets, including Harvest House, all the offices across the country, and the MPs and the councillors. So that is the legal position that as it stands. But let me take you back to history. In May 2018, I think, Advocate Chamisa presided over a discussion to recall Madam Khupe from Parliament. And I'm sure you remember that she was recalled from Parliament by Advocate Chamisa. Now, how do you recall somebody who is not a member of your party? You can only recall somebody who is a member of your party. So this has been one party, and they even went to court to stop her from using the name. And Justice Bere ruled that because it was a faction, it cannot bar another faction from using the assets of the party, including its name and its constitution. They have always been using this constitution, identical word for word. So the proper way of looking at it is that the Supreme Court reunified the party and is now one entity, which was led by Morgan Tsvangirai.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Let me check the last round. I'll prioritize those that did not ask in the first place. You did ask, right?
No, I haven't.
Got it. That's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So there's something about this number 4. What's happening? You're just asking questions in the fours. Okay, you can shoot.
My name is Costa from newspaper.com. You polled 45,000 votes in the previous elections. That must be a very worrisome figure for someone who aspired to gain state power. What is you so much convinced that this time around you gain political capital so that you can attract a huge following?
Okay, number 2.
My name is Dafmane from Slide Media. It follows that maybe the MPs, because of the Supreme Court judgment and the powers that are vested in the Constitution, they are ability to cooperate with us. We used to have the same ability to force support us.
Okay. Number 3. Yes.
Well, Sorry again, now directly question Madam Khupe, if you clarify with us in the interest of understanding this, we do know that by the time you had left the party, you were not in good standing with Morgan Tsvangirai, that you now are coming out to represent fully all, that you actually left way before Nelson Chamisa was even the president of the party. What was your relationship like with Morgan Tsvangirai, and how do you feel representing the MDC, which gained, when you gained 45,000 and you got 2.6 million or 2.1 million debatable? How does that make you feel to then say that you represent all these 110 MPs when these people are definitely denied duty in the polls? How does that make you feel to say you leave them now?
Number 4? No. Number 4?
My name is Anyway Yuta. I'm a freelance journalist. The question that you are referring to the late Tsvangirai and the Supreme Court judgment. How about the Electoral? I do take the Supreme Court or the late Tsvangirai?
Okay, thank you. So you asked your question, didn't you?
Yes.
Sorry? Yeah, we'll come for more parts. One extra. Okay, ask it.
Okay, we need to, after this way.
Yes, yeah, that's the last one. Okay, this is the last one, so just shoot it.
Well, then there's a video that's circulating on social media where you visited Morgan Tsvangirai's homestone a couple of weeks ago. There have been reports and allegations that you were there for rituals. Would you like to take this opportunity to clarify what exactly was going on there?
Okay. All right, Madam President, SG.
Thank you very much. I want to start with one unscientific question that is being asked. And this unscientific question is what happens to the supporters? That Nelson Chamisa has more supporters than everyone. Now, and you go to the 2.1 million, 2.6 million debatable. Now, can I answer this by a rhetorical question? And the rhetorical question is that did the MDC in the alliance not campaign as a unit? In other words, did we, Mudziri, Komichi, myself, not campaign in that election for that 2.6 million votes? And how much of that do you give to us? How much do you attribute to us?
So you
Why do you say we contributed zero? I went and contested in Manicaland. That is the zone that I was given to contest to campaign for the president and the MPs. And in Manicaland, Nelson Chamisa polled 296,000 votes. To Mnangagwa's 292,000 votes. A difference of 4,000 votes. MDC Alliance won the presidency in Manicaland. How much of that do you attribute to my efforts and the efforts of the other comrades? Now, when we deal with political parties, we are not dealing with individuals. We are dealing with the institution. Now, the institution.
Wait, we'll give an opportunity. Just let him.
So, they are institutional votes. But again, another unscientific part of your assumption is that you have carried the census and you have found us with no support. Wait, because we have a surprise for you. We do have the support. And you will see when we conduct our Congress that we do have the support. Now, you were told by Watchman Khupe, who by the way poured something sometime, okay? You were told by Watchman Khupe that we would form a quorum at the Congress. And surprise, surprise, we have surpassed that by people who have confirmed to want to come to the Congress. And again, we were told that we will never be at Harvest House. We will never take this building. And where are we? We were told that we will not win a single case. Where are we? We were told that we will not be able to recall. Where are we? Why do you underestimate us, my brother? Remember, this is the leadership that handed ZANU-PF its first uncontested defeat. Not just ZANU-PF, ZANU-PF of Mugabe. Now, I just want to, I know the president will answer it herself, but I just want to go to the unscientific part about what was stated about what happened in Buera. About 5 minutes after we left the homestead, Pet Sairuanya tweeted that people were chanting Chamisa's name at Changrai's graveside, and that a video was coming to prove his allegations. Up to now, I'm waiting for that video. Up to now, you have not seen that video where his name is being chanted. So these are some of the falsehoods that are said. A simple graveside eulogy, common in African tradition, is converted into a ritual. How do people do rituals in the broad daylight, in the presence of the deceased's relatives, his young brothers, his mother, his nephews, and his sekurus? They were there. This is how low our politics has gone. Who hasn't visited the grave? Who hasn't spoken at the grave? Who is it who hasn't done that? So I know the president is going to answer that, but Zimbabwe has more important things to think about. The opposition has more to think about than superstition.
Our people of Buhera, and he has also responded to the issue of 45,000 votes. And what I can only say is that each and every election has its own dynamics. Come 2023, watch the space. Then my relationship with the president, I had a very good working relationship with my president. I have deputized him for 12 years. I worked with him for 26 years. Yes, of course, there was a problem. That one problem when we attacked in Bulawayo. And the president sat exactly where I am sitting right now. And he apologized about what happened in Bulawayo. Myself and Abednego Bebe went to the president's house and we met him. And the president apologized. 2 weeks before the president passed on, I went to South Africa. I visited the president in hospital. He was very excited to see me. We chatted, we spoke. The president, for your own information, for those who do not know, phoned me 2 days before he passed on, for those who do not know. I was phoned 2 days before the president passed on. It was very difficult for him to speak, but those were his last words. You know, he couldn't speak, and I kept on saying, President, you'll be fine, because I've gone through the same problem. I had cancer as well, and I thought that my president was going to be well. Little did I know that the situation had gotten worse. May his soul rest in peace. But in a nutshell, I had a good working relationship with the president. And to sum it all, our role as the opposition is to make sure that every Zimbabwean has a better life. We want to make sure that Zimbabweans have jobs, they have food, they have good health, good education, clean water and sanitation. This is what these people sitting in front here are going to be fighting for. And we will make sure that at the end of the day, the people of Zimbabwe have a better life.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, no, it's okay. It's okay. We'll do it next time around. There's another standing committee next week. I'll note your questions and then we'll get your time. Thank you so much, media, for being here. Let me say this, go and report responsibly.
Of Buhera, and he has also responded to the issue of